Hey, what's going on guys? Andrew here from Extreme Customs, and today we're going to take a look at some performance parts from the guys at ARC. We are pleased to announce a partnership with them, which means we can get any of the ARC performance parts, which include wheels, suspension, accessories, aero, all sorts of cool stuff. So today we're going to take a look at a DTP Coilover System and the Grip Catback exhaust. Now this is going to go on a 2018 Kia Stinger. Right now everything is stock aside from some Eibach lowering springs, but we're going to slam that thing to the ground with these DTP coilovers, see how these things handle, and of course we're really excited to hear how this exhaust system sounds. Now ARC does everything in-house, so research, development, these are brand new systems for the Kia Stinger. I know there's not a lot of stuff available for it, so we're excited to throw this stuff on and take a look at it. So we will jump into a unboxing, installation, and of course we're going to go test drive this thing. Let's check it out. All right, so first we are going to jump into the coilover system. Once again, this is the DTP Coilover System. So let me take a look here. I went ahead and sliced it open just to make it a little bit easier to show you guys. So it looks like we have the rears right away. Now I've seen photos of this stuff online, really cool looking colors. Of course you never see that, it's always hidden under the car, but you always want to know that it looks pretty rad. So we got a nice orange spring here in the rear. So the rear is a 10K spring rate. Here's the collar, is nice cool blue anodized collar. And I want to say this was about a 3 to 5 inch drop. So let me measure it quick for you guys and we will take a look at that. So if we're taking a look at the thread, so you are about 4 inches from the end of the actual base plate here, and then up to the bottom of the collar, so it's about 4 inches. And then if we take about 1 inch off for the actual width of the collar there, so you could probably drop this about 3 inches. So let's say maybe 3 to 3.5, depending on what you're working with and how the car actually settles in. So let me unbox both of them here, give you guys a look at that. So here is the rear springs. Of course you have your spanner wrenches. Looks like we have some built-in hex heads, which that's pretty nice. And you also have a Allen key in there too, of course, which is for the adjustable dampers on this. It's 16-way adjustable. So the cool thing about this coilover kit, whether you're hitting the street or you're hitting the track, it's essentially set up for both. You know, and unlike lowering springs, you're kind of at the mercy of how they settle in. And of course, you can't dial anything in. Whenever you have the damper kits, you can actually adjust that stuff, get it dialed in for hard cornering. So initial impressions, really cool looking system. It looks very high end. It is a little bit higher price tag on these guys. You're looking for a little over $2,000 MSRP on a set of these, but beautiful looking shock here. And the neat thing about it too that I read, I'm interested to see how these are really going to hold up once they're in the customer's vehicle, is they have something called a DLC coating. So it's a diamond-like coating, and it's actually applied to the shock tube here. So on the actual piston itself, we'll get you a close-up to take a look at it, but it's essentially a coating that's going to give you a little more longevity and also helps the actual piston slide up and down a little bit, I would say with more ease. So definitely pretty cool research once again that goes into a coilover like this. Everything is done in-house from ARC, and then you have your adjustable dampers here on the actual shock. So obviously left or right, depending on how hard or stiff you want your ride quality to be. And suspension is always one of those things I'll tell everybody, you absolutely do not want to cheap out on suspension. There's a lot of other brands out there, the eBay stuff, you know, it's all garbage in my opinion. If you're gonna buy a nice car, something especially like this too, like the Kia Stinger, you know, so once again, my initial reaction when I see this, it looks like a really well-built product, extremely nice coilover system. You have your dust shield here, the bump stop, here is your damper, and then there's a ton of thread on this thing. So I would imagine this is probably maybe 4 or 5 inches. Yeah, about 4 3/4 to the actual bottom of the collar. And then you're just about 5, yeah, you're about 5 inches once you get to the other side of the collar. So good looking rear setup on this. Once again, that DLC coating just looks really nice. Now that is going to do it for the rear section. Let's unbox the front and see what that stuff looks like. All right, let's unbox the best part, which of course is the fronts. Everybody wants to see the fronts. So these have a built-in camber adjustment system, or basically a camber plate on the front. Once again, good looking setup. That anodized blue with the orange, really killer looking combo. These camber plates are super beefy. That's one thing I will say, there's some camber plate companies out there where they're a little sketchy looking. These are pretty hardcore, really good looking setup. Looks like there's 3 different settings here. Once again, a ton of thread on the front. And I don't know the specs off the top of my head since it's a little bit newer company, so we can drop that across the bottom of the screen and let you guys know. Otherwise, if I pull out the old tape measure here, Once again, it's about 5 inches to the actual base here, and it feels like there's a little bit more room to go. So you might be at, God, maybe at a good 5.5 inches. So at any rate, that is more than enough drop for what you're gonna do on a car that's on coilovers, especially if he's gonna end up hitting the track or something like that. He is on a set of 20-inch aftermarket wheels. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute here. But once again, good looking setup. So off the top of my head too, I'm not sure the actual camber. I know everyone right away is gonna wanna know what's the actual initial drop, and what's the actual full specs on it for drop, and then how much camber is it allowed to do. I know with my airlift performance kit, I think I had up to about 3 or 4 degrees if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty standard for most of these. So we will find out the specs, drop them across the bottom of the screen, and let you guys know. So now that we have the full suspension unboxed, let's go get this thing installed and slam the hell out of this car. All right, we got a quick update for you. So we decided to break the video into 2 different segments. So we hope you guys enjoyed the initial unboxing of these 2 products. Now the second series is gonna be where we actually run you guys through the installation of the products, and then we're gonna go for that test drive, show you guys how the suspension handles, and of course how that exhaust sounds. So stay tuned.